On Sunday, we're going to celebrate the table. The table is pretty significant, not only in Hebrew culture, but if you think about in all cultures, it's really symbolic of life, and it's a common place where life is shared. In Mark chapter 2, when Jesus called Levi, or Matthew the tax collector, it says there in Matthew, it says, "Then Jesus went out to the lake shore," Mark chapter 2, verse 13, again, and taught the crowds that were coming to him. And as he walked along, he saw Levi, son of Alphaeus, sitting at his tax collector's booth. "Follow me and be my disciple," Jesus said to him. So Levi got up and followed him. Later, Levi invited Jesus and his disciples to his home. Notice the first place that, the first meal that Jesus shares with Levi is at his house. It's at his home. And there's lots of dinner guests there. And it says there, to his home as dinner guests, along with many tax collectors and other disreputable sinners. There were many people of this kind among Jesus's followers. What does that mean? That means there were many like Levi, those who didn't quite fit the mold of what it meant to be a religious person in that culture, a religious leader, or didn't fit the mold, didn't fit in. And they were many who followed Jesus who were like Levi, and who were on the outside were probably not those who would have been invited to the table. So if you think about the table really, it represents a place where, like I mentioned earlier, where life can be shared, where people with differences can sit across the table and enjoy a meal together. I love the idea of being able to look at somebody in the eyes, sit across from them, and there's something about sitting at a table and enjoying a meal together that really creates this atmosphere, this culture, this safe place. That's what it is, a safe place for breaking down those barriers that often keep us from being able to sit across from somebody different than us, someone whose political views are different than us, somebody who comes from a different cultural place, who maybe we don't share a whole lot in common. And so the table really represents a safe place for those barriers not to get in the way of trying to hear each other's stories and share life and be together and be a part of a community. And if you think about that, I mean, you know, Jesus modeled that, and I think it represents this vision for what the church can be, for what we can be together as we embrace this idea of what it means to come together. And the table really represents this non-threatening place again, where that is one of the best places that it can happen. If you think about it in the book of Acts, it says there in Acts chapter 2 at the early church, that when the early church came together, it says they devoted themselves to coming together, to the breaking of bread, to sharing life together. There's something profound and powerful about that. If you think about in the book of Galatians, in Galatians chapter 2, it's there that Paul confronts Peter, because Peter, in his hypocrisy, felt the freedom to eat with Gentiles and sit at the same table with them, which wasn't something that they did before Jesus. And they started following Jesus' example, but then there were certain Jews that would come around, and then Peter would hold back, and Paul there confronts him about that and says that, you know, that hypocrisy is not right. There's something about the gospel that breaks down those barriers, and the table really provides that safe place for that. So, you know, if you think theologically, that's a big part of why eating meals together is so important, because it really does provide that safe place for people to come together and to share life. And there's something about that commonality of what we're able to share. And it really creates a safe place to be seen and to be heard, hopefully to be cared for, to be loved, to be accepted, and you know, where people who are different can come together and share this common space. And so this Sunday, we're having a potluck right after church. So I encourage everyone to bring your favorite fall dish and your favorite dessert, and let's plan to stay, and let's share life together. And we're going to take communion. We're going to honor Jesus and remember him. And it's such an important part of this idea of transformative community and coming together, sharing that common space, and then recognizing the one who is at the center of it all. It's Jesus. So we'd love for you to come share with us. And so we'll see you on Sunday. And yeah, let's share life with one another, and really looking forward to transforming a community, just really diving in and experiencing that. And yeah, we'll see you on Sunday.